Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another r slash off my chest. Well, multiple r slash off my chest. Kick back and enjoy. This is going to be an hour-long video today, and in the background I have my Minecraft gameplay. It's going to be me building one of my houses. Definitely enjoy, and hopefully you find this relaxing. If you have any suggestions, or if my audio sounds weird or anything like that, just let me know down in the comments below. So to start, we have the story from Coke Doubt Raccoon. Oh, Coked Out Raccoon. I read that weird. And their name, and the title is I'm Genuinely Dumb and It's Ruining My Life. It hit me during a conversation with my husband. We were talking about going on vacation and what to do with the dogs. I was confused as to why he was upset that I wanted to bring them. They're well behaved, off leash trained, and we can bring their kennel and get a pet friendly hotel. Then he says, we can't bring our dogs to his sister's birthday vacation. And I thought, yeah, that would be rude. That makes sense. We were talking about it for so long that it almost became an argument because 2 sentences into the conversation, I completely forgot what the vacation was for. The same day I had a call with my boss, I had to ask her about the process of tenant adopting a pet, or the process of a tenant adopting a pet, whether they had to pay pet fees before or after the adoption, and what steps I needed to take before signing the landlord agreement. She explained it in depth, and I had to tell her that I didn't understand. She eventually gave up and asked me, what do you think you should do? Wow. It was a common sense process. Get the basic pet info, add it to their account will auto charge, sign the new pet addendum, and then the landlord agreement for the shelter, and send an email to the tenant for a photo of the pet and vaccination records. Now that I'm writing this, I don't understand why I was so confused. And things like this happen all the time. No wonder people don't enjoy being around me. I'm an idiot. Well, that's mean. And now that I'm thinking about it, I've been like this since I can remember. Just completely clueless. I had to use my boss's computer a while ago while doing move-ins, and so I had saved a bunch of files to the music folder so I didn't disrupt how she organizes her files. When she went to save something the other day, it opened up the music folder. She got upset that everything was trying to save to that folder. I told her that's where I was putting the files when I had to use her computer. Even the tenant said that didn't make any sense. It made sense to me. Yeah, no, interesting. Why not just make a new folder? Same thing with how I organize items in the house. I keep my instant coffee with the plates, cups, and bowls. Then I just grab a cup, scoop of coffee, and add water. Simple, not simple. When my husband does the dishes, he moves my coffee to the bread cabinet, the other side of the kitchen. He says that coffee does not belong with the dishwares. Agreed. True, but it's more efficient that way. By 2 seconds. For some reason, it matters to me that the coffee is close to the cups and sink. I have to move it there or it bugs me. Somehow, coffee being with the dishes almost turned into an argument. Sounds like a little bit of OCD. I'm like this in social settings too. I can't read a room. I always think people are upset or angry when they aren't. My husband always wants me to go with him and his friends to the bar, and I have to leave early because I get overwhelmed trying to assess everyone's emotions. I can't enjoy a social setting. I have to make it harder on myself by deciding if anyone wants me there or not. Plus, I suck at pool. And you guessed it, people have tried to teach me and I don't understand. I want to go back to college, but I'd have to take my entry exams, or have to take entry exams rather. I'm not exaggerating when I say I have no idea how I graduated. I was taking some of those free SAT and ACT tests online, and oh my god, when I didn't remember how to do something, math, it's always math. I'd pull up YouTube videos of how to do it. Step-by-step instructions, and I'd start getting overwhelmed and crying. Basic fractions, crying. It's always been those effing fractions. My entire body short circuits when the fractions come out. Don't even get me started on word problems. Budgeting is hard. I have to have everything as a monthly expense, otherwise I get too overwhelmed trying to understand it. Like with dog food, they ate 2.5 bags a month, so I budgeted for 3. Because figuring out when to only account for 2 had me almost crying. That's 5 bags every 2 months, and 10 bags every 4 months. It's pretty easy. I mean, you could switch it back and forth even. 2, 3, 2, 3, and that would average 2.5. So I budgeted for 3 because even figuring out when to only account for 2 had me almost crying. That's really insane. I don't know if there's a way to become less dumb. I can't keep friends because of it. I'll probably lose this job, and I'm too stupid for college. I'll be surprised if my husband doesn't leave me within the next year or so. So if you ever feel dumb or embarrassed, don't. There's always someone dumber than you. And it's me. Well, I will say, coked out raccoon. Um, maybe you should just maybe see like a doctor or something, because I'm no medical professional, but it sounds like you have some maybe undiagnosed ADHD or maybe even some OCD or some, especially with the coffee having and the instant coffee needing to be next to the plates and coffee. It just sounds to me, and like you get really anxious and overwhelmed. It sounds to me like you just, I mean, I don't know you personally. Have you not been through a lot of situations where you're stressed out and have to make like a split decision, or where you have to be like uncomfortable, where you coddled a lot in your life? I mean, these are all like probably things relating back to your, you know, just genetic coding and also like how you grew up. I'm sure a lot of these things can be fixed, but with enough effort. I don't think you're dumb. I mean, comparing to how you type this out, use proper grammar, commas, and spacing whenever is needed. I would say you seem like a pretty intelligent individual. You just, one, sounds like you don't have a ton of self-confidence, and two, it sounds like you stress yourself out and you worry about whatever everybody else is thinking, what everybody else is doing, when you should just do you, boo. Let's hop onto these comments. Yeah. A pay. I always mess up these Redditors. Applewin the Face. Interesting. The Redditor Applewin the Face said, "You wrote out a perfectly coherent, easy to understand post, and are aware of your areas of opportunities when it comes to your mental capabilities. You seem fairly intelligent to me." Agreed. "Just perhaps forgetful or undiagnosed ADHD." I'm leaning more towards the ADHD part. Try not to be hard on yourself for who you are. There's plenty of amazing things about you that are only truly because of your totality of who you are. I might be leaning more toward like OCD and like just an anxiety disorder of some sort, because it sounds like you get stressed out and certain things have to be the way they are. Especially like, I'm going to refer back to the coffee and cups. I mean, leading up to an argument over coffee and cups in the cabinet over a 2-second difference, it seems like there's some control issues going on there. Most certainly. But hey, that's just me. Someone responded with, Grew Up Elephants responded with, "Immediately clocked ADHD and perhaps some autistic traits. They both appear together very often. I hope she can get diagnosed." I'm surprised, like, through your life, if you had like this difficulty, maybe they didn't prescribe you or recommend this like teacher-wise to like a professional. That is interesting that you got this far. I don't know how old you are. You don't state your age. But it sounds like sometimes you don't think things through either, if I'm being honest. Hey, preface, this is not all a formal clinical opinion, but maybe consider ADHD/ASD screening. This sounds a lot more similar to neurodivergence than being dumb. Yeah, it sounds like you just haven't been taught the ways to like, how your brain works and how you need to go about things that work for you. I think everyone in this comments is saying ADHD for sure. I mean, I feel like everybody like is quick to issue, be like, yeah, I have ADHD or autism, but like, I truly think this person does have that, or at least some sort of cognitive ability or some sort of, if you will, neurodivergent, as I said, or neurological problem that they just need, a professional to help them with. And finally, Up Down Clown 68 said, "It sounds like you might have a learning difficulty that hasn't been identified. You may need information presented in a certain way to process it. That's not stupid, it's just how your brain works. Or as another person suggested, you have ADHD, or could have. Consider getting tested. Never a bad thing. The worst that happens is, no, you don't have it. And the best that happens is you find out you have it and you can find out how to fix it." In all honesty, I think that you seem like a pretty smart individual, and that, maybe you just have a unique way of how you need to process things, but also that could be a benefit. You could have a really unique way of looking at things. Like, I don't remember the name of the girl, but there was, I remember watching a movie in ag class about a girl who was very autistic and actually ended up, innovating the agriculture industry and how like they deal with cows and how they round them. And so just being different isn't a bad thing. Looking at things a different way could be really beneficial at the end. All right, so we spent a little bit on that story, but moving on to number 2. titled, I broke up with my ex over him taking his mom's side. This should be good. This is from Redditor social work chick _ So, I am a 29-year-old female, and my now ex-boyfriend is 31. We've been together for 6 months. Everything was going well, but there was one issue. His mom was highly religious. Now, for context, I am a Christian, but not the kind who's a Bible thumper or prances around like my shit don't stink. This is important. I also have chronic migraines. I've suffered from them since I was a child. I have medications that helps me with attacks, but still have pretty bad attacks every now and then. That's unfortunate. Well, one day I was over at his house. He lives with his parents as he cares for his father. Kind of him. I started to have a migraine, and all the rescue meds I took were not helping, so I was just going to push through it. Well, all my migraine sufferers know that with severe attacks, the only thing you can do is go into a dark room and sleep it off. I already thrown up, and I was walking around like a drunk person, so I had to go to bed. About 30 minutes later, I was in bed trying to get comfortable and a cold rag on my head. I finally got comfortable, and his mom barges in the room. She automatically starts asking me if I knew Jesus. I was taken back. She knows I'm a youth leader and active at my church, so I said, yeah, I am, ... Why? Well, she went on to say that my migraines were a result as a punishment from God for not following his rules, and in sin I said, excuse me? And y'all, I shit you not, she was trying to perform an exorcism on me, like holy water, chanting, praying, the works. I scooted away from her and said, will you please stop? This is not helping. She took high offense to this and kept saying, I can cure you. You need Jesus. I just said screw it and demanded my boyfriend take me home. He asked what's wrong, and I stated the above. Well, of course, he started to say, oh, come on. She means well. She was just trying to help. I was insisting on going home. I felt awful. I didn't need a sermon while I was trying to get over this headache. He caved and took me home. The next day, I woke up and felt better besides the migraine hangover. He texted me. He said, I'm highly disappointed in you. You hurt my mom's feeling. She was trying to help you, and you pissed it away. I said, I didn't need an exorcism performed on me, and she was trying to say that my migraines were a result of sin. I'm not standing for it. When he demanded I apologize, I refused. Then I said, you either cut the cord or I'm gone. We broke up that day. I feel bad because, in a way, I know his mom probably meant well, and I'm sure that telling me to choose between him and his mom was extreme, especially 6 months in. But how dare someone say that to a chronic illness that I have as a result of sin in her logic? If she ever gets sick, does that mean she sinned? I don't want to be with a mama's boy who takes her side on everything. What if he had a child one day and they got sick and she tried to perform an exorcism on them? I just need to get this off my chest. Wow. Honestly, social work chick. Sounds like he might have dodged a bit of a bullet. I don't know who the guy is. He could have been a really great guy, But I don't think that 6 months in he should necessarily be doing an ultimatum, but choose between you and his mom. That might have been a bit extreme. I do agree with that. But him saying that you need to apologize is absolutely absurd. I mean, in no circumstance, if my mom did this to my fiance, we're not even married yet, or at any point, I would absolutely have been infuriated and been like, what the heck? Well, I would have been like, what the absolute F are you doing? I'm going to flip out on you. Like, why are you treating someone like this? I'm just glad I don't have, a super religious family, or like to this extent at least. It sounds more than anything, on top of being overly religious, she is ignorant on the, medical side. But more than anything, I think that you're not wrong for defending yourself and sticking up for yourself. And honestly, being around someone like that is extremely draining, especially when you're going through something like a migraine, to the point where you throw up and need a dark room. On to the next. At least it wasn't like 5 years in, only 6 months. It's not, that's pretty, a lot can happen in 6 months, but better early than later, We're moving on to these comments now. The first one is from Beep Bop Bippity Bop 2. I married a man with a religious mother. Funnily enough, her religion did not prevent her from changing medical records in the hospital she worked at to remove me as his next of kin, or pretending to punch me in the back of the head at her 60th birthday party in front of 20 people, or pretending to be me on the phone in an attempt to get my son's medical records from a different major hospital. Tip of the iceberg. He never defended me either. You have dodged an almighty bullet. Edit/update, we're divorced. as you'd expect that way to go. Especially if you don't defend your partner. I don't understand that not taking your partner's side. Like, not, you're not saying your partner can't be wrong, but especially in this circumstance, like, not being able to stand up to your parents is honestly embarrassing. I think that if you're like scared to say no, like tell your parents I didn't like that or like they're wrong, like there's some serious deep reflection, especially when it comes to your partner, because who are you choosing to be your, in theory, your lifelong partner, even if it's just a girlfriend or boyfriend? That's like the end goal for most people. You're not choosing your mom or anything. Your mom can be mad at you, and obviously I wouldn't want anybody to ruin their relationship with their parents, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be the ones that are, spending the rest of your life with you, sleeping in the bed with you every night, so on and so forth, if things go well. You gotta stick by your partner to a certain extent. Be the first person to tell them wrong, but in a right circumstance, not like, oh, you did this and this and this, and you need to apologize for this. Like, especially like if it's really messing with your partner, you gotta talk to them and be there for them, and more importantly, defend them. Next comment is, be glad he's gone. This was just the beginning, from Peace Fit. Honestly, yeah. Especially in like bigger circumstances, if you would have forgave him and y'all moved on, that would have been a much bigger situation, because I'm sure he would have taken her side in the end. Well, at least you only wasted 6 months with him and his mommy. Absolutely. That was from Changeling CD. So let's move on to story number 3. Alrighty, going on to story number 3. Now, I will say before we start the story, guys, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I am a bit sick right now. So, just recovering from that, so my voice might sound a little scratchy, but I hope y'all are enjoying regardless. This is titled, My 16-year-old brother got his 18-year-old girlfriend pregnant! Exclamation point, exclamation point. This is from, I don't know, Just Peachy. Sounds like this might be good. So, okay, I just found this out by my mom, and I'm livid. They met when she was already 18, so she's pushing 19. He won't be 17 for like 7 more months. He was diagnosed with autism when he was young, around 7/8, but refuses his medication/treatment now. He needs treatment, but unfortunately at his age, he's allowed to keep denying it. He runs away from home often, but it's because he gets in trouble with the law, gets grounded, then runs away. This 18-year-old girlfriend lives with her parents. Her parents allow a minor to run away and hide at their house, allowing him to basically live there now. They asked my mom to write/sign a letter stating that it's okay. She refuses. I'm on her side. I'm 27, so I'm the adult sister here, and I'm beyond disgusted that an 18-year-old girl met my brother when he was 15 and decided to start sleeping with him. Oh. He started dating her before he was 16. My little sister told me she was 18 when they met. What the F? And now she's pregnant? Living at home with her parents, where they are allowing minor to stay and F their adult daughter? Yeah, that's one way to put it. Why the F would an 18-year-old girl choose to have a baby with a 16-year-old boy when neither one of them have any money to financially support this child? They are both, hate to say it, stupid. I am just beyond pissed about the age here, okay? Thanks for reading my crash out. Edit. I want to make something clear. I'm not trying to call her a predator. I am pissed that they think bringing a child into this world at their age is a good idea right now. Never was I calling my brother a victim. I am pissed he got her pregnant. The only worrisome part for me is the fact that her parents know it's wrong and asked my mom to sign a letter to cover their asses. She is 2.5 years older than him. Cool. Some of you don't care. But others understand the law and how different emotionally a teenager develops through their ages. I was not the same at 16 and 18. But either way, my family hasn't given a crap about the age because my little brother cannot be controlled. And we learned that a long time ago. I have not been trying to fight over the age difference. It's the fact that she is pregnant and my mom will be responsible since my brother is a minor. And her family allows my minor brother to hide away and live at their house. Probably with no rules. They live in a very bad area, and he brags about how he walks the streets past crackheads, brought the homeless and addicts food, water, and clothes. Hanging out. I skipped a spot. He walks the street past crackheads, hanging over doped out. The area she lives in is a place where many people, including myself, have volunteered and brought homeless and addicts food, water, and clothes. That area is the biggest drug part of the state. Very known. Wouldn't be surprised if he's potentially getting exposed to that. People overdosing on the sidewalk daily. He literally gets into legal trouble with friends because they think it's cool stealing or starting fights. He has unpaid court fees/fines that could land him in jail. He goes around finding people and recording videos of it and then brags. He has a lot of growing up to do. He doesn't even want to finish high school. He hides at her house where he doesn't have to face discipline of his actions and gets to do whatever he wants. It's the fact that they're effing 16 and 18, pregnant with no job, license, money, everything you need in order to have a child. I don't think sis is wrong here. No, obviously hopping into my take of things. That's wild. 16 and 18 having a kid, I mean, that's... Especially not even, like, one of them not even being out of high school, it seems. I mean, maybe she's out of high school, I don't know. But, I mean, with your brother, being autistic, I don't know how bad the autism he has is. It sounds like he's been diagnosed, though, and that y'all are aware. I don't know if he's, like, bigger and more aggressive and kind of overpowers everyone else in the household or what really the case is there. But it definitely sounds to me that him being over there and being exposed to this and being allowed to do all these things is definitely not good. Obviously, I'm sure you know that. Everybody else can agree with that. But, I mean, if we're looking at the comments, someone says they need a DNA test. I'm just going to jump to the first comment. It says, first of all, he needs a DNA test. It's not guaranteed he's the dad. Secondly, if he's a father, him being autistic increases the chances of having an autistic child. So be prepared for that. Those are all true. I was going to say that, I mean, he definitely obviously has some emotional regulatory issues and processing issues. So having a child at 16, especially when your brain's not even near being fully developed, is definitely a recipe for disaster. Not only for them, but, for this child to be brought up into. I can't imagine what kind of life they may have. Not saying they're going to have a terrible life or they're guaranteed to. Just saying, speaking on most people's scenarios, they're more likely to have a really struggle-some life or have a life where that's not enjoyable, especially to themselves and the child. Alrighty. Here are the first comments, so I'm going to hop on to the next few. C Wild 7 says, because they're babies having babies and not thinking like adults, or they never would have been here in the first place. Yeah, you got a point. I mean, if they would have really thought this through, everyone's done something that they definitely didn't think through, but not everybody's had a kid at 16. So, certain things that only certain people go through. Definitely, him being having these cognitive and processing issues or, inability to kind of see right from wrong at certain times or lose control. He probably is easily manipulated as well. So I'm sure this is terrible for his psyche, rather. I'm sorry, you could say pushing 19 all you want. She is 18 and he is 16. They are equally responsible. Passing the blame is probably how he ended up in this situation in the first place. Either he's special needs enough to where he shouldn't be left alone, or he's capable enough that he's responsible for his own decisions. They are equally to blame, and to be honest, with the kids are having kids, the blame is shared between parents as well. There's enough for everyone to take a piece of the blame pie. Educate your kids on safe sex. If they don't have enough responsibility to listen to that, then you don't let them be alone in a room together. FDT fact TYNWY. I think you got a point there. At some point, you gotta say like it's your bed, you gotta lay in it. Obviously, they're both children in this aspect. Even at 18, I still think that you, especially cognitively, you do know what you're doing, but you don't have that life experience a lot of the time, and you don't necessarily make the best choices. A lot of you're still making, pivotal choices in the moment, immediately switching and making your mind up there and not necessarily thinking it through. I think that them both being so young and doing this is definitely going to give them a tough time in life, especially not even being graduated from high school, your brother at least. Alrighty, let's go on to story number 4. Alrighty, this is titled I Hate My Dad by Famous Reputation 745. I hate my dad so much. He's generally such a disgusting human being, and I don't even know where to begin. Wow. This man is a racist. He said the N-word multiple times. He says that Africa had no history and no civilization before Europeans came, which is just hilariously wrong. Egypt is one of the biggest things I would point out there. and see how wrong that is. Anyone could open up a book and see how wrong that is. It's also funny that he believes in that while claiming to be a history fan. Oh, and he hates immigrants. He doesn't believe in climate change, and he teaches these ideas to my young and impressionable brother who's 10. He is also a serial cheater. The first time I discovered this, I think I was 9 or 10 years old. I checked his phone for something and saw notifications from another woman talking about sex. And then I clicked on their chat and saw a bunch of nudes they'd send to each other. But that wasn't even the first time. Terrible to be exposed to that so young. I'm sorry you went through that. My mom told me that he cheated on her while she was pregnant, and she ended up getting an abortion because of how angry she got at him. And yes, I'm also angry with her for staying with him, but she still is 100 times better than him. Wow. Anyways, for some reason, my iPad is connected to his phone, so I can see his messages on my iPad. And when I discovered this, I went through his messages and saw a bunch of different women he was texting. Went back to like 2022, but I'm sure he's been with many others prior. Right now, I think he's only with one woman. Their messages were just so incredibly cringe, I wanted to KMS. That's not good. They are my 13th reason. I hope you're saying that jokingly. This woman knows that he has a wife and kids, and my dad literally sent her photos of me and my siblings to this woman, which is like, what the F? I mean, WTF for real. I don't want her to know who me or my siblings are. My dad lies and says that he's going to work extra when he's actually with this woman. Ew. I know because I can see their live conversations. My mom hates him, okay? They both hate each other. They're just together for the kids. I mean, sounds like no one's happy. But I still don't think it justifies his cheating because, well, he's been cheating since I was a child and my parents were actually happy at that time. But it's also sneaking around and lying to your kids and taking away time that you should be spending with your kids to be with that woman. He's an alcoholic. He literally is. He drinks almost every day and in front of our younger siblings too, or my younger siblings rather. Once he got super drunk, he passed out in the middle of the hallway. He hit his head and started bleeding above his eye. Me and my mom had to drag him to his bed and clean his wound while he was still unconscious. Wow. My little brother woke up and he was obviously scared seeing his dad in that state, so he started crying. No child should be seeing that. This happened in 2022. Absolutely. That's terrible. But he still drinks a lot. He stumbles around and doesn't speak clearly. He gets angry when I tell my mom that he's been drinking. He also just doesn't know anything about me. Genuinely, he couldn't tell you anything about my interests or my friends. I don't think we've had a real conversation since I was 12/13, and I'm 19 now. I don't even remember how it happened because he used to be my favorite parent when I was younger, but that man just stopped talking to me. He only talks to me when he wants to do something. He constantly complains to me about my mom and says that she's a crazy woman and that he hates her and can't stand her. Then the next day he'll be saying that I'm just like my mom. I get that some blame is on me because a relationship is not only one person, but he is still the adult. Fair. I think majority of the responsibility should be on the parent. If you want a relationship with your child, then you need to put in an effort. I was barely a teenager, and at that time, he just cut me off, no explanation. He hasn't even tried to build it up again. And at this point, I don't care. I don't want to have a relationship with him. He also takes out his anger on the whole family whenever he fights with my mom. We were going abroad, and he had fought with my mom. It wasn't even a fight. She just said something snarky, and he got upset. When he gets like this, he acts like a child, and he doesn't say anything. He just sulks and grunts when anyone talks to him. And we were at the airport, right? And we couldn't find our gate, and he knew where it was and let us walk back and forth at the airport multiple times before he decided to open his mouth and tell us where it was. Genuinely, who does that? I get that you're mad at mom, but don't take it out on the rest of the family. I told him how childish he was, and the man didn't speak to me for 3 days or something. And another thing that happened during this trip was when there was a rainstorm, he was outside without an umbrella, so my mom made me go out and give him an umbrella. He would think he'd be grateful for this, but he told me to leave, and he said it was in the rudest way. I tried to give him the umbrella to him, but he stormed off, so I left him in the rain, which he deserves. What the hell? He also takes it out on strangers. He screamed and pointed his umbrella at a stranger for bumping into him. He gets aggressive with servers, and he was very rude to our cousins that we hadn't seen in years. Even when he's not angry, he never says thank you, sorry, or excuse me. He's a man-child, clearly. But yeah, I just have a lot of pent-up anger because I haven't told anyone about this except my younger sister, who agrees with me. I'm too scared to tell my mom about the cheating because my dad would probably cut me off financially. He has threatened to stop paying for my phone whenever we fought before. He also just makes me pay rent and he also makes me pay rent and groceries. I can't afford it right now, even though I have a job. It won't cover everything. I'm just waiting till I can move out to this at this point and never speak to him again. Yep, this is my rent. Wow, that that's a terrible. Yeah, to say the least, your dad's pretty terrible. On top of being, you know, incredibly racist and ignorant. He is an alcoholic, so and is clearly not a good role model to your siblings. On top of that, he definitely is a man child and cheating on your mom while she's not only pregnant but consistently throughout the years while she's also helping raise these children and that's just terrible. I mean, I can't imagine how your mom feels, or I mean, it seems like obviously as you're saying that your mom doesn't know he's cheating on her. But I think your mom does deserve to know. I think that this piece of shit should be left to think about whatever he is. It sounds like he may be the breadwinner, and I don't know if that's the case. But I hope that you get out of there as soon as possible and, you live a happy, prosperous life after, because this is no environment to grow up in, or live in. Drinking all the time, constantly getting in arguments, being around someone who's cheating and infidel with their wife. That's one thing if they had, an agreement and they agree that it's okay, but it's another thing that if he's just doing it behind her back and she's going to feel terrible about that. I'm sure anyone would. I definitely think that you and your siblings and your mom, everyone but your dad should have a family meeting and figure something out and see if you can maybe figure out a way to get out of this situation, because clearly your mom doesn't know the severity of the situation, and I think you should inform her and let her make the decision from there, because you holding all this weight and all this guilt is just so much for you to handle, and I can't imagine the sort of stress and crazy high cortisol levels that you have. Best to you. I only have one comment, so I'm going to read that real quick. The one comment is from EbweB76. Wow. Hugs. Maybe with a better paying job, you and your mom could afford a place together, rescue your brother from the influence, and hopefully for you, not permanently, maybe Jim has a relative or friend who could take over splitting the rent. Jim. I'm guessing that's the name of the dad? Or I don't know if they know this Redditor, just random name Jim. But it definitely sounds like that she should do that and get that brother away from the terrible influence that clearly your father is. All right, moving on to number 5. This is going to be from No Hornet 7315. Titled, Broke up with my boyfriend because he lied about accepting who I am. For context, I'm a 24-year-old female ex-Muslim atheist, big title there, who lives in a Muslim country with tattoos. You're playing a dangerous game. Dresses as immodest as I possibly could without being in danger. Pole dances, drinks, doesn't want kids, etc. I met my boyfriend, 28 male, at work. He's Muslim, but drinks, and isn't really religious much. Prays once a blue moon maybe. We started off as friends, and he dropped me off home, etc. And knew everything that I mentioned before. He saw my tattoos in person, saw my pole videos, and everything. I mean, this may be ignorant American of me, but I didn't realize that they even had, pole dancing in there. I figured that would be a place where it's you live in a Muslim country, not I don't really know much about the Middle East, but I would not expect pole dancing to be a thing around there, to be honest with you. Flash forward, we started dating about 2 months ago, and everything was amazing. I truly saw a life in the future with him. He did so too. Talked about how we'd be amazing, married, etc. Then cracks started to form because whenever I vented about religion, he would not offer any sympathy. Mind you, I never talked trash. I never trash talked it. Wow, I can't speak. My venting is always about my mom suffocating me with religious things because she doesn't know I'm an atheist. I vent to him to be listened to and maybe told, that is really hard, I'm so sorry. Anyway, I came to talk to him about that, and then he said, what I'm going to tell you might make you want to break up with me. Crazy way to preface something, but I guess it's direct. So he told me he lied about a lot of things. I'm going to quote him. I lied about accepting you for being an atheist. I don't want my future wife to be an atheist who also drinks and has tattoos. I don't want our future baby to see her mom having tattoos. Yes, I drink, but I've been thinking about stopping for my health lately. I also don't think like that you pole dance for a hobby. It doesn't make sense for my wife to pole dance and dress immodest so that men can see what she has under her clothes. I basically went numb because what the F? You knew about this all before we even entertained the idea of dating. We were friends for 5 months before dating for 2. Then he asked me if would be willing to sacrifice all that and be together. I told him I consider it, but then about 20 minutes later told him I can't lose myself. This is who I am, so we're ending things. Then I asked why he even wanted to date me when he knew all this because surely he didn't believe he could fix me, right? He said he didn't want to lose me, so he pretended to accept all about me, whatever that means. To dig at him a little, I told him Arab guys always do this to me. They see who I am and then date me to quote unquote fix me. So he asked me if he's like everyone else. I laughed. So anyway, we decided not to tell people we broke up really and have them figure it out once they see the distance between us. He told me to tell everyone who found out that we simply did not match pages. I only want to tell people how big of a liar he is and I spent the weekend crying. I mean, that's the truth. But honestly, I'm doubting myself. I don't know. What even was his thought process? Like, what the actual F? Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, especially with him knowing all this about you beforehand. That'd be one thing if y'all met and, like, dated for 2 months and then, like, he found all this information out. But him knowing you, like, personally, like, more like as a friend and then still staying with you and then putting you through this, essentially. I mean, that's terrible. I'm sure it probably is a situation where he thought he could fix you or change your mind or make you see things a different way, whatever, whatever. At the end of the day, I think that he's definitely in the wrong here. You were really upfront with how you are and how your feelings were and what you were. I don't know if your expectations were upfront, but basically, like, you were like, this is me. And I'm guessing he did it so that he would benefit in some way. I don't know if y'all went the full, 9 yards, if you will. But maybe at least he's being honest with you at 2 months and not making you draw this out like a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long. But at the end of the day, I think that he definitely thought things were going to go a different way and that he could influence you somehow. And that's at least how it seems. And hey, you not doing that or also like, objecting to him that you don't want this life for yourself and that you want to be you and not what he wants you to be. And if he can't accept you for who you are, then he's clearly not the one that's meant to be yours because you should, have someone that's going to be upfront with you from the beginning and not make you go through these situations where you're, where whatever that 20 minutes you were thinking about it, be on the verge of, maybe I'll give it a try. At the end of the day, someone should accept you for you, especially if like he knew all this beforehand and then still went forward with it. That's on him. Getting onto these comments. Boysenberry correct. I don't want my future wife to do XYZ. And clearly, dude, this isn't your future wife. Yeah, I think that you kind of put yourself in this position, talking to the dude, not yourself, predator, and that he's kind of just an idiot, in my opinion. I don't know why he would do this to himself, especially if he has, like, feelings for you. Why he'd even go and explore them if he knows that you're not going to check the boxes, especially, like, the tattoos. They're kind of hard to take away, especially after a certain point or how big they are. And someone responded to that, Randy Magnums. Exactly. Why don't these fools date the kind of women they'd like as their wives instead of trying to change somebody into something they're not? Someone responded to that with, because that's less fun and controlling for them. Maybe he is a control freak. Maybe he would have continually kept trying to change you over and over and over again, slowly but surely. I mean, it seemed like he was trying to do some pretty big things after 2 months. It's definitely a big step, trying to make you change your whole life up, essentially. So next Redditor says, his thought process. He is like an exotic bird collector. He only wants a woman who is free because his dream is to put her in a cage. Patricia Nomboy-Solo-Noah. That's a quote. I guess it's who said that. Yeah, that's a pretty great metaphor. Someone responded to that with, You will find this a lot, especially being a strong, independent young woman or independent woman in general who's going against the grain. A lot of men, quotations, like that, but they want to possess it. And once they're with you, they want to dim your light because your brightness makes them feel less than. You're amazing. Don't ever let a man change you. I mean, it's clear that he didn't like you for you and was trying to change you, and that's terrible. I don't know why. Maybe he was intimidated by you. Maybe he was like, this girl is free and out doing what she wants, and isn't following the norm of our society or so on and so forth. Not even like not being religious, but like even if it was just like the pole dancing, like that's insane that he went into the situation and then tried to change you. It's very controlling and it's probably going to lead to major things on down the road that you don't agree with, or that he's going to be one-sided on, or my way or the highway about. Last one is, why do you have to change? What about him? He could change too if he wanted. Oh no, sorry, I forgot that he's a man and only he can dictate with how others live. Why can't you tell others how you two broke up? To save him from the embarrassment of being a piece of shit? He doesn't deserve it. You dodged a bullet. Block him and never talk him again. Block him and never talk to him again. Honestly, I think that you should be honest and make him get over himself and not spare him the embarrassment, because at the end of the day, you did nothing wrong in this circumstance. He's the one that made this choice to pursue you and go into this relationship, if you will, in quotations. To add my fingers up making air quotations, by the way. If he made the choice to do this, then clearly he's the one in the wrong here, and he should be the one to go through the embarrassment, like, wearing that big A on his chest so everybody knows that he is an asshole. Anyway, on to the next. Next story. This is from Responsible Fig 9966. I've noticed Fig in quite a few Reddit names since I think it was like 2 or 3 since I've started doing this. I haven't been doing this that long so far. My boyfriend expected to coast on my corporate income, and now I'm financially trapped living with a grown toddler. Yikes. I just need to scream this into the void because I'm completely losing my mind, and I can't afford to leave yet. A little under 2 years ago, my boyfriend, 32M, and I moved in together because my lease was ending. Literally days later, I got laid off from a high-paying corporate management job. Between the layoff and severe physical injury, working myself from home became the only option I had left. For the past year and a half, I've been grinding at my desk every single day, trying to rebuild my marketing client book from scratch. I work straight through until 3 p.m. with no lunch breaks. From what time? Getting off at 3 p.m. sounds like a pretty cush day. Meanwhile, my boyfriend sits on the couch watching the news and scrolling Instagram Reels for about 5 hours a day. He has owned a mobile detailing business for 9 years, but this is our second summer living together. I'm watching how he operates. It's pathetic. We live in a seasonal town where the clients leave for the summer. Despite doing this for a decade, he didn't save a single dime for the off-season. Instead, when he had money, he blew it on non-essentials like fixing minor dings on his car, redoing a headliner. Now he's completely broke, works maybe a few hours a week. I'm the one stuck paying for things like Taco Bell just so he can eat. I mean, what about groceries and make your own food? When he was drinking a while back, he flat out admitted the truth to me. He said, I thought when we moved here, I'd be chilling because you made good money at your old job. He literally viewed me as his ticket to early retirement. My dad recently had to give me some money to help me out because things are so tight post-injury. My boyfriend is already tracking it, asking me what I'm going to spend my dad's money on. The weaponized incompetence is off the charts. He has past professional kitchen experience, yet he acts like he's completely incapable of feeding himself. He waits around on the couch for me to finish work so I can cook, and claims he needs a strict weekly schedule and structure to function. What? You're a grown man. The other day I called him out because he expected me to get up from my desk and microwave him leftovers for him. He defensively snapped back, What podcast did you hear that on? As if I'm not smart enough to notice he's using me. Our intimacy is entirely dead because he refuses to initiate sex. His excuse is that he doesn't know if it's a good time or if I'm tired. So the solution is just to never try and force me to do all the legwork. He handles every stressful situation by making nonstop annoying jokes, and if I don't force a laugh, he starts pestering me, asking if I'm okay. He smokes weed all day long and can't function without it. He used to drink heavily, and when I begged him to stop, he ignored me completely. It wasn't until his own friends and family told him exactly what he needs to be told that he finally cut back. It made me feel like absolute chopped liver. My voice means nothing to him until outside people validate it. Yeah, that's terrible. He also routinely uses highly derogatory sexist slurs to describe women while driving. When I ask him to please stop using that offensive language, he sarcastically barks, "Can I say F?" What a dickhead. The wildest part is that he constantly talks about wanting to get married, buy land, build a house, and raise cattle. But he works 2 hours a day, makes just enough for his portion of rent, car insurance, food, weed, whatever, and complains that he hates going outside for most of the year because he doesn't like sweating or the heat. Dude is a complete bum. I feel completely duped, used, and exhausted. I'm doing the full mental and physical load of a stay-at-home mom for a 32-year-old man who treats my income like his personal safety net. I'm totally checked out emotionally. I'm just saving every single penny I can in secret until I can finally afford to kick him out or take a walk away for good. Wow. Well, that is absolutely absurd. Um, a 32-year-old man baby, that is to say the least. A few hours a week, I mean, if he can afford rent, car, insurance, weed, and food, then clearly if he, put at least 10 hours a weekend, he could have a decent money on the side. If he's making that much off of just a few hours a week, imagine if he worked a full-time job. I understand that it's a seasonal job, but, maybe he could get something else or, specialize in something else. There's always insurance. You can do that on the side. You can do mortgages. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you can do even remotely and on your own time as 1099, if you will. And clearly he doesn't have a structured, strict, what was the terminology? Strict weekly schedule and structure. He doesn't have that. I mean, I don't know if he grinds his ass out during, the other part of the year where it's lucrative in his business, but clearly he is a lazy bum, and I think that you're absolutely right for wanting to leave him. I don't understand how you made it this long. That's absurd. Anyway, on to these comments. All right. First comment is from Redditor Emotional Main 5720. Why are you with him? Great question. I think that's kind of best. That's the top rated comment at 862 upvotes. That's hilarious. Good question. Good question with not a good enough answer. Yikes. I mean, maybe it's time to do, raise those standards a bit. Don't be with someone who clearly doesn't want you. I'm in a lease in a house. So that's why you can't leave. Once that lease goes up, though, boy, oh boy, would I be like, bye. Start telling your family about what he's doing. Maybe someone can help. In the meantime, if he's so poor, how is he affording weed? Stop buying anything non-essential. Buy peanut butter and bread, that's it. If you want Taco Bell, order Taco Bell for you. But you can't afford to feed him, too, until he gets his own job. If he wants different food, he can go to the food bank like everyone else. Like, seriously, hun, cut all non-essentials and let him know his free ride is up because shit is tight. Yeah. That's definitely a great way to put it, straight to the point. I mean, if he really wants to, be different, he'll make that change. He will put the effort in. They responded with, "Thank you for the reminder on non-essentials. One of my issues mentally is how much he needs the weed daily." I mean, if he needs it to operate, like he can't even function or, has these crazy mood swings, that's bad. That's a real big red flag. I would hope that'd be throwing up red flags to you immediately. I mean, I'm all for using the weed, absolutely. But if you need it and you have to spend a chronic amount on it, or an amount that obviously you're not comfortable spending, to the point where he's choosing that over non-essentials, it seems, or the non-essential being weed over, essential things like paying, the rent or, putting up a fair share, being a man, not riding off of his wife or fiance or girlfriend, whatever it is. I think it's your girlfriend. Yeah. This dude's clearly a bum, and I think that you should honestly just kick him out on the street whenever this happens and make him learn the hard way. Say bye. Free ride's over. Alrighty, we're gonna be getting into our last story here, probably. Maybe we'll have time for one more. But this is going to be titled Forehead Grease, or this is from Redditor Forehead Grease. And it is titled, My Ex-Girlfriend Was Right. I Never Cared for Her. Ooh, this should be good. Disregard my sniffle. A year ago, I, 23 male, met this girl, 23F, same age, on Hinge, and had the best 5 months of my life. It was both our first relationship, and while fun, it was somewhat tumultuous. And in the end, she called me to say she wanted to break up, leaving the two of us as strangers once again. She told me I didn't care about her, which to me at the time seemed like an insane accusation. I really thought I loved her and thus cared for her. I took care of her while she was sick, wrote letters for her, and gave her many gifts, flowers, and time. I also tried my best to help her brother out. In time, I would learn that she was right. I hurt her so many times out of my self-interest. I dated this girl for all the wrong reasons. I wanted experience more than anything. I was bullied by this guy I played games with all the time for being a virgin. It's unfortunate I ended up being with such an amazing woman at such a time in my life. But at least I learned a lot about relationships in general. If you are my ex, know that the message I sent after our breakup call still stands. Thank you for everything. A couple of weeks ago, I really want to know what that message is. I'm super nosy. A couple of weeks ago, I went on a date for the first time since the breakup, and our lack of chemistry really put it into my head that my ex is the only one for me. After just one failure, I packed up months of healing and threw it away. I then spent weeks contemplating whether to message my ex or not. I finally sent her a message asking if she wanted to talk today, knowing that it could potentially hurt her, and it did hurt her. She told me to leave her alone, how disgusted she was, and most of all, how I did not care. At first, I thought of the hypocrisy of the message. Shortly after starting no contact, she reached out to me twice to tell me her feelings and reached out to my friends to tell them to switch up on me. That's a red flag. Buzzer, buzzer. And then I remembered how I felt when she did that, and it was the exact same as what she was saying in her messages. I felt that I needed to send that message to her. The result didn't matter to me. It would either help me get over her or it would breed a new relationship. And with the way she responded, it really does help whenever I think of her. I think of her telling me to F off. It's a great way not to contact somebody. Despite knowing that it could possibly hurt her, I sent it anyway because I needed to for myself. Everything is about me, nothing is about her. I never cared for her. I wonder if I actually loved her. To be honest, just hours after reading her message, I feel nothing. I think I'm capable of love, though. I've recently been able to better my relationship with my younger sister. I just have to do the opposite of whatever I did in the relationship. All the actions I did because I was scared. I think I'm now completely able to bury my old self with my ex now. Feel free to ask me anything. If you feel I'm wrong, let me know. I'll let it have a conversation with anyone about this. I mean, if you're saying she's right, I mean, I don't really know what else to say to that. I mean, I think that getting with somebody because someone is bullying you about being a virgin, one, the person bullying you about being a virgin is shallow and lame, but two, is not a good reason to get into a relationship. Obviously, you wanted experience, but you didn't want to learn to love somebody, it seems. It seems like you just wanted someone to give you physical pleasure, which, I mean, I guess there's not necessarily something wrong with that as long as you're like upfront about things. But just because you met her early in this life and this early in life and things didn't work out, it doesn't mean that like later on when you both mature and have really thought things over and have had the ability to process and go through life, that things might not work out later on. It was your first relationship, so don't get so hard on yourself. I'm sure you're both good people and had good intentions, but at the end of the day, sometimes things just don't work out. Might be, I love the phrase, right person, wrong time, because sometimes people truly are soulmates and they just met at the wrong time. And sometimes you met your soulmate, the first time and you just knew it. Sometimes it's the right person, the right time. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get across is that it doesn't really matter. It does matter, and like you let me phrase, it does matter, like you should definitely do some reflection on how maybe you could have done better in this situation. But this is your first relationship. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're 23. You're going to have plenty of other relationships in your lifetime, and you're going to have plenty of other lessons, and you're going to mess up plenty more. So at the end of the day, maybe this won't happen again because you learned from it, but you're going to mess up again. So just take what you learned and move on. So there's only one comment from Dej. I'm in a relationship where I feel like my boyfriend doesn't care at all, but just says he does when I express that I feel this way, but with no actions to back it up his side. As someone on the other side, how to identify whether he truly cares or not? Ooh. I mean, not to, go from advice to advice, a completely different topic, but, well, same topic, different perspective. I mean, I would say, be honest and upfront. Obviously, it seems like he may be saying things that just to appease you. And if that's the case, probably don't stay with him if you truly think he's just saying things because that's what you want to hear. But in either perspective of the situation, just doing what you feel is best in your gut is what I think is the best situation. It's clear that this gentleman, the Redditor, the original poster, knows that he was in the wrong and that he didn't care for her, at least not properly. Everyone, I would say, is capable of receiving love and giving love, but not every person has the same love language. You got to be able to speak the same love language. Some people are more physical, some people are more emotional and long talks. Some people like you to show them off, and some people want you to go absolutely crazy, freaky, nasty style in public. Everyone has their own different ways of love and how they want that portrayed. So being as open and honest with your partner about how you like to be loved and how you personally love or show your love and affection is what's best in any circumstance.